All right, so we're back to working on a few two-stroke cars, or I should say vans. The blue van here in the forefront is my little Subaru 360 van, which I've driven for many, many years. And on the last video, I noticed the brakes didn't feel right. I think one of my wheel cylinders is leaking, and it's causing the brakes to not be snappy. The other van here needs, much more than brakes. It needs everything. It's just in the infancy of its restoration, and you'll be seeing more posts on this as that job goes on. But for today, being a Sunday, my day off, I want to use this van, and I don't like brakes that don't work good. So we're going to drive this thing in here, figure out which wheel cylinder's leaking. I have a rebuilt set that I think I'm going to swap out and then get rebuilt. I've rebuilt these, I should say the set that's on here, 2, 3, maybe 4 times, and I'm just like, I'm done. I think they're just wallered out. They need to be re-sleeved and redone professionally. I've given them the benefit of the doubt. I would be surprised if it wasn't this side that leaks, because it seems like every year I get a leak on this side. I put a new seal in it, rebuild it, kind of hone it out a little bit, and then a year later it leaks. So let's pull in the shop and get to work and see what we find. All right, so we are in a two-stroke car. Cleaning mode is spring cleaning, you might say. This is our beloved Subaru 360 van. It is painted Audi Pelican Blue, I believe. Love that color. It is in for some brake work. The last time we took it out, dug it out of the garage, the brakes, they weren't making me happy. They weren't stopping sharp. I think I've got a brake fluid leak on the driver's side. It has 2 wheel cylinders per front wheel, and I'm just sort of done with rebuilding them. I've rebuilt that set of wheel cylinders, I think, about once a year for the last 3 years. I have a newly refurbished set ready to go on that's relined with brass, I believe, and all new seals. So that's that two-stroke car. We've got this two-stroke car up on the lift. It's been there much too long. The sun is out. It's time for it to come down. And to get that car out, I had to get all the other cars out. And this one here is in, you can see, poor little thing. It's a little Subaru 360. It's quite dusty. And it has dual expansion chambers on it that I custom made off of a Yamaha, what do you call them? Not a Raptor. Oh, those quads that make a lot of noise. They're 350 cc's. Banshee. That's it. Banshee. It has Banshee pipes that I put on. So I'm going to see if I can get this thing running. I think if the battery's up, it should fire. And then I had to roll the HMV Freeway out there and the little Honda N600 with the FCR motor in order to get these cars out. So my focus now is to get this one, little Subaru 360 with the twin expansion chambers. It's a pretty rough little car, but someday it's going to be beautiful. I'm going to see if I can get this out, get it cleaned up a little bit, and see if it'll fire, and then get this one out, see if it'll fire, and drive that home. But I think I'm going to focus on this one for this video. That's the trouble with a lot of cars in here. I get distracted and don't know which one to focus on, but this is a pretty cool little car. So let's roll it out and dust it off a little bit and see if it'll fire up. All right, so the shop is pretty well cleaned up. I've swept the floors. Haven't done that in a while. And out in the parking lot here, it looks like we're having our own little two-stroke car show. The yellow DKW battery was pretty flat. I was afraid it was going to flood, so I didn't try to crank it too much. So I've got that charging up. But this little guy, not my pride and joy yet. It's a little Subaru 360 I actually bought for a friend many years ago off of a for sale ad that was in the hallway of a Fred Meyer's store, which is like a Kroger's, in the classified section, just pinned on a bulletin board. So I drove out to, I think it was Damascus or Boring, Oregon, to pick this up for a friend, and then he backed out, and I have since fixed the crumpled quarter panel. I put in a new engine, rebuilt an engine with a little modifications. I think I had to put electronic ignition on it, increased compression, made expansion chambers, and jetted the carburetor. Let's take a look. It is pretty dusty. It's been in the shop for a long time. I call it my spare 360. So the engine is, you know, freshly painted, but it's really dusty right now. I have just a lawnmower on-off fuel valve. The vacuum operated automatic one, which you can see way back in there, has been just deleted. Still has a generator, still has points. That's right. This does not have electronic ignition, but what you can't see is it's got two huge expansion chambers with dual tips. So this is a really cool sounding car. Let's fire it up. Make sure it's got some oil. You can look in the tank here and I can see the levels about right there. And I can see the fuel filter's got some fuel in it, which is clean, not rusty. I went through the tank on this, so that's good. And the body is not bad. I've sanded it down and I've flattened it. In other words, I've gone along and I've blocked it to find out all the highs and the low spots. And you can see that's what's showing there. So it did have a little bit of rust here at the front of the door, but I'm going to find a cool color for this car, and I think I already have somebody in mind that would like it. I have enough Subaru 360s, but you never know. I love these things, and if this one turns out to be a real hot rod, which it probably will, I had to make a special panel there to fit those large expansion pipes out the Banshee. Let's see. I don't know. This will start up. It is dusty. Look at this. See that? You can barely see out the window. Okay, so starting procedure. Need a little choke, neutral, put the brake on. You can hear the fuel pump running. Oh, and I redid the floorboards here. They were rusty from brake fluid, not perforated from rust. So I've sealed them with Pour 15. The seats are in not so good shape. I'm letting the fuel pump kind of prime the carburetor here, see if she'll fire up. Oh, it's got a stiff clutch. That's right, it's got a performance clutch in it. All the stuff I got to remember. Okay. So I'm cranking it over. It's not showing much fuel. I might have to put some gas in it. In fact, because the fuel pump is so loud, let me put some gas in. Let's try again. Whenever I hear an electric fuel pump knocking like that, it means it's struggling to get fuel. So let's see if we can fill this thing up a little bit. I think I got 2 gallons here. Okay, so we're getting the end of a couple gallons here. And as I've told lots of people, but people still ask me, Subaru 360s are oil injected, so you do not have to mix the fuel. So I'm just pouring straight pump gas into this 360. We're getting to the end. Let's see what that'll do for us. Oops. No spill. We'll set that there. Let's check the gauge. I believe this has a rebuilt fuel sender. Not showing much on the gauge. So we'll try again. Sounds like the pump is still struggling. I know the valve is on. Battery is amazingly strong. Come on, babe. I might have to shoot it full starting fluid. Yeah, I better. Pour the battery. Okay, so it looks like it's getting gas. There's fuel in there. I'm going to shove this right through the little port there. Let's take the choke off. Give her a little spray of the oops, I'll take that off, of the high tensile juice and see what happens. Thing can't be flooded. At least I wouldn't think so. So we're gonna leave the choke off now. Let's put the brake on in case she doesn't. Yeah. Oh. She does need a little more fuel. Let's try this. She popped there for a second. Huh. That's weird. Let's give her a little more go juice. didn't want to take off. That should do it. Let's see if I can rev her up with my foot. Oh, battery's down. Okay, so we flattened the battery on the little Subaru 360. I've got the DKW charging. I really want to start a two-stroke car today. Let's see if this one starts. I know this has been sitting for a while as well. Turn the key on. Can you hear the pump running? The gas gauge is actually way down there and it's showing empty, but I think it's got enough. Give it a little choke right there, and the starter's over on the side. Come on, baby. Make my Sunday. Come on. Yeah. Yeah, there we go. Got something started. Let's see if it'll run. Oh yeah. Killed it. All right, we got something started. That's great. Let's try again. Come on. Oh, it's just not my day. Oh, there we go. Tell the battery was going flat. All right. All right, so we got the old DKW 3.6 two-stroke car running. It needs to be washed and serviced a little bit before I drive it home, but I'm confident that that will be a good driver for the next couple days. And this little guy here, this little Subaru 360, my little race car, vintage race car project that I had high hopes for, will start on starting fluid, but won't start even though I put gas in the tank. And I suspected, I actually pulled the top of the carburetor off, that the needle and seat, yeah, it's sticky. I gotta take it apart and clean it. The needle and seat is gummed up, so there's no fuel in the bowl. So we gotta take that apart and figure out what's going on there. Must have some gummy fuel there. Once we get the bowl filled, I'm pretty sure this thing will run. All right, so somewhat a comedy of atrophy here is what I call it. As you heard, the fuel pump was really loud and knocking, and once I took the top of the carburetor off and messed with the needle valve, a little bit of fuel shot through and the fuel pump got really quiet and primed itself. And once it primed itself, it started filling the bowl. So it was a combination of the needle being stuck and not being able to bleed the fuel system. So let's turn this thing on. I'm expecting a quiet fuel pump, and I'm expecting that it'll start and run. Probably without much choke. So let's see here. Fuel pump is much quieter. We got our battery charging because we flattened it trying to start it. We might have to choke it. Let's choke it. Yeah, there we go. Okay. Just as I thought. Can you hear those dual pipes? A little flooded. Let her warm up here a little bit. That's my girl. Let's see if I get the battery charger off and wipe the windshield down. We'll go for a little parking lot drive. Okay, our little two-stroke, two exhaust, dual exhaust, two-stroke 360. Out here warming up. Put the lid down. Really dusty. Oh yeah, I was going to dust the windshield off so we can see where we're going. How's that? She's all running good and cleaned out now. The gas gauge is still reading empty. Let's see if the brakes are up. Yep, they are. Gotta put it first gear, take the brake off. Oh yeah, she wants to go. What a hot little ride. Put it in reverse. Let you see what's back there, but it's pretty dusty. I'll put her into the shop here. Stella wants to go for a ride. Yeah, it's awesome. Sounds like a snowmobile. This is one hot little number. So happy my car's run. That's awesome. All right. Well, one more thing you might see us driving around soon. Two-stroke cars, you just gotta love it.